Alright guys, Tactical Rubber here. Champs is in the books. Evil Geniuses are your champions, just as we all predicted. What an event it was. Probably the best event I've ever watched from a viewer perspective at home. Birmingham was different because I was there. But yeah, EG, Aches, Apathy become two-time champs. Silly, who's been around forever, he wins a ring. And Assault gets his just desserts as well. He performed spectacularly all weekend. Incredible event. Rise top 16, Optic top 24. Who would have predicted that going in? And, you know, there we have it. So I'm going to go back over the event, the bracket play in particular, remind you of a few things you may have missed. And, yeah, just see how we got to this circumstance where EG are topping the table. So I already went through pools in an earlier video and I did predictions for the bracket, which were completely wrong. So if you want to watch that and go back on what I thought about how the pools went, just stop watching at like 20 minutes. The link will be down in the description or something like that. Here is the bracket. LP played Lethal round 1. They 3-0'd Lethal. I think what you'll see as a common feature here is that a team that does quite well in groups, like Lethal got out of the groups, they beat Brash, Taint and Mines, and then they went game 5 with Rise Nation. Because Lethal were kind of an underdog team, you don't know what you're expecting out of them, they tend to do quite well in groups against the better teams that can't prepare. And then they come into the bracket and the team they play has looked at the VODs from Lethal in groups and then they just get smoked. So I think that's a common thing you'll see here. And I'm going to make a video on the flaws in the Champs pool play system which enables this to happen, where you get teams that really aren't the best making it out. It's really the idea of group players, just to get the best 16 teams into the bracket. But I don't think that always happens in the current system. But that's a video for a later date. EG, they 3-0 Vitality. Same sort of situation. Obviously, you wouldn't expect Vitality to do anything, considering EG were the eventual champions. Vitality really just don't have the slaying power. Tommy had them playing a really good style of CoD. Like, they were playing the hard points perfectly. They were winning hard points when they're getting outslayed. But the slaying power wasn't really there to compete with a team like EG. FaZe Envy was a crazy series. FaZe go up 2-0. Then Envy managed to bring it all the way back and win in a game 5. Reverse sweeped them. Crazy stuff. I thought FaZe would be able to take this one just because Envy got 3-0'd in pools by Unilad. It wasn't even close. And Unilad and FaZe are on a similar pegging in my books, pre-tournament at least. So if we look at Envy's stats here, Classic actually really impressed me. He only has a 0.98, but he was playing much better than usual. Decimate did not impress me at all. He had good stats in Search, 1.34, but apart from that, I don't know what he was doing. Like, how is he only getting 20 kills a hard point? Huke's getting almost 28. He's got a better KD as well. So Huke was going off. Chino was like, not stage 1 Chino, but start of the year Chino. Classic was playing a lot better, so they managed to put something together there and actually beat FaZe, which is a really impressive result in my eyes. Then we have Team Sween. They go up against Ghost. I think this was a similar story really to the Lethal and Vitality stuff. Team Sween obviously topped their pool. They beat E United and Splice. There's no way they're going to lose to Ghost, right? Of course they do. Ghost probably looked into the VODs. I think Team Sween probably underperformed slightly in the series. I think it could have been closer than it was. But, you know, Parasite's Ghost end up taking away the victory. Then we have Red versus E United. Red really disappointed me here. This series wasn't even really that close. United just wiped the floor with them. Red don't really seem to turn up until the losers bracket still. United beat Col. This is when they were still playing at a high level like they were in the groups. Col had all the support from the crowd. They were chanting Doug or whatever. I think Col won the search, but United won all 3 respawns. Clutched up when it mattered. Impressive win there. LG vs Elevate. Probably the most shocking result of the first round by far. Elevate come out of pools. They beat EG, of course, but EG still qualified because they managed to 3-0 Optic. Elevate, Spacely's team. Have a look at Spacely's stats of the event. 1.07, 30 kills in a hardpoint. Spacely was honestly one of the best SMG players at this entire event. No lie. 23 maps, 30 kills, a hardpoint, 1.07. I think he plays the second sub, and he was going off. If you look at these stats here, these are the stats from Dallas at the start of the year. Spacely was the laughing stock of the community. A 0.63 he had at Dallas, like just pathetic. And here he's dropping 1.1 with a sub. Mad respect to him. He made a great turnaround, and they managed to take down LG. Devastating from my perspective because I really wanted LG to go far, but I think Elevate just out-prepared LG, and LG probably weren't, probably underestimated these guys to some extent, I think. Spacely, obviously their former coach, definitely had gained some insight on the team and managed to get to the point where they could 3-0 them. And just an incredible result from Elevate, and definitely the upset of the first round. Then we had Rise TK, number 1 seed versus number 2 seed. Incredible stuff. TK just continued to have Rise's number. Team Caliber just phenomenal in the hard points. Took both hard points off Rise to take him down. And wow, I thought Rise would maybe just get through this one. But TK just showed a new level of form here. This is where they really started to go on their tear, because they had a pretty rough pause, losing to LP, go map 5 with Heretics, almost get knocked out of the tournament. But they really turned another gear here. LP versus EG. EG just continued their tear. Once they beat Optic, there was no looking back for them. Just ran straight through LP, no problem at all. Envy versus Ghost. I thought Ghost would take this, and they won the opening hardpoint. And then in the search, they were up 3-0, and then Envy just won 6 rounds in a row, and just didn't look back from there. So I think Ghost almost threw this one away. 3-0 up in the search to go up 2-0 in the series, and they just get blown out the park after that. Envy continued to impress. Classic was probably my player of this series. He was going off, man. E United versus Unilad. E United, I like the team, but the fact that they beat all the teams that I wanted to win, they take out Splice, they beat Red, they beat Unilad, and then they ended up being LG later on. All the teams that I liked, apart from EG, they were like soft spot in my heart, I guess. Beat Unilad, wasn't even close. Unilad just honestly looked like a pub team here. I was really shocked at how bad Unilad looked after this victory over Complexity. Have a look at Unilad's stats. So usually you'd expect Zed and Alex to be really strong in search. That's been one of their strong suits, has been the fact that Zed has had like a 1.2 in S&D. And yeah, I mean, their S&D that says they win 3, they lose 3 here. That's usually been their strong point. And Wuskin really didn't turn up in either of these series, unfortunately. He had a 1.01 overall. Like, we've been expecting to see 1.2s out of him. So, E United just ran through Unilad again. It was pretty unfortunate. The first hardpoint was close, and after that, E United never looked back. Clayster was going off. Elevate TK. TK just continuing their tear. If you've beaten Rise, you're not going to lose to Elevate as far as I'm concerned. Elevate clearly didn't have the same preparation against LG that they could against TK, or even if they did have the prep, TK had out-prepped them and just out-skilled them on the day. They were a good team though. Have a look at, so this is the stats. Proto had a 0.82, but that's kind of expected for his role. Morks and Spacely were really good. Major Maniac had his moments as well. So a great team, a really good job for them overall, placing top 8 at this event. I didn't think they'd get that far, but this loss to TK was pretty inevitable the way it was going. EG versus Envy. This was another reverse sweep. They come up against EG, they win the first 2 maps, and EG just turns it on its head. There was a lot of reverse sweeps in this tournament actually, as it came down to crunch time, and yeah, Envy just couldn't compete. And this was the point where Envy just became the biggest choke artist in the world. Tragic for Envy fans because they really did throw away some of these series. EG obviously really needed to win this one if they were going to win the title, and if they hadn't have done, I think TK would probably have walked away quite comfortably. EU versus TK. EU were on a hot streak. They hadn't lost a map to Red Reserve or Unilad, both probably top 5 teams in the world going in. They come up against TK. TK win both hardpoints again. Hardpoint is probably the most important game mode. I think having something in Search and Destroy, like people say Search and Destroy win championships, which I agree, but the fact that if you're so good in hardpoint, you can win map number 1 and almost guarantee map number 4, you don't even have to worry about a kind of fluky map 5. Their hardpoint just carried them through this. Both hardpoints against Rise, both hardpoints against E United. They were just unbelievable. Let's have a look through the losers before we go to the winners bracket final here. The Vitality reverse swept Lethal. I was really happy for Tommy on this one. Apparently people in the crowd were giving him some abuse about why he got dropped from Splice or something like that. So they completely reverse sweep. They tried to choke it in that game 5, but Vitality ended up placing top 12, Lethal top 16. A pretty meaningless match at the end of the day. FaZe beat out Sween. I was disappointed at the time that they did this. I honestly think Swing could have done a lot better. They ended up placing top 16. I think they had a much better opportunity. If they just didn't lose to Ghost here, I think they really could have gone far. Problem being that FaZe went on this massive run where they just beat everyone up until they come top 3 at the end of the day. So when you look back on it, it's like, well, what could Sween really have done here? Red 3-0 Cole. Doug goes home. Unfortunately, doesn't win champs this year. Maybe there's another opportunity on the horizon. And then LG takedown Rise. What a winners round 1 or losers round 1 matchup this was. The fact that LG, they were all in the same side of the bracket. Rise ended up placing top 16 and LG reverse swept him. It was crazy stuff. I was really hoping LG would actually take this one out. Slacked clutches a 1v2 game 5 to complete the reverse sweep. What a performance from them. Let's actually have a look at LG. So LG makes a nice run here. Let's actually have a look at their stats. Formal 1.42. He was the player I highlighted before the event. He has a 1.52 in hardpoint over how many maps? 9 maps. He's a 1.52. Crazy scenes. He's a 1.32 in search. God, LG was such a scary team. If they didn't lose to Elevate, I honestly think they could have won this tournament. Formal was just absolutely going in. The MVP of last year's champs, of course. He does it again. He has 90 seconds every 10 minutes as well. Like, he was just doing it all for this team. John was amazing as well. Slacked impressed me. It's what could have been, you know, for this squad. So they do take down Rise. They end up dealing with Lightning Pandas as well. Red 3-0 Ghost Gamers. This is what you'd expect to see out of Red. Finally, they hit the losers bracket and they get going. They 3-0 Col, they 3-0 Ghost. Unilad just got smoked by FaZe. Once again, Wuskin didn't show up for this series. It honestly wasn't even close. It was pretty embarrassing actually. Even though FaZe were like a top 6 team in the world, Unilad probably top 5. They really didn't show their potential here, and I think they ended up placing top 12. Elevate 3-0 Vitality. As I say, Vitality just don't have the slaying power right now to compete with the likes of Elevate, especially with Morks and Spacely going off. They have great teamwork as well. Phase 3 at Elevate as they continued their absolute rampage. And LG took down Red. This was such a close series. This could have gone either way. Red, I think they threw away, not really threw away, but they lost both hardpoints very close. And Red still played at very top form here. I think top 8 was honestly a little, it doesn't flatter them, put it that way. I think they probably could have done better than that. But they lose to LG in the end. LG go on to face E United. I honestly thought LG would win this one, especially after LG won the first hardpoint, I think. But LG were up 4-0 in the second search. They threw it away, and then E United just carried the momentum through. So it's kind of what you'd expect for a Clayster team. You know, once you got the momentum, you're rolling. So E United did impress me there. I thought LG were going to continue the run. And FaZe beat Envy. Oh my word. They got revenge. They got reverse sweeped, of course, in winners round 1. They come in here. Envy are up 2-1 in the series. They're up like 230 to 170 in the hard point on Arden. They're about to win, and Envy choke it away. FaZe come back, win the hard point, take it to a game 5. But Envy, no problem at all. They go up 5-1 in the search and destroy. You're like, okay, you know, they're going to beat FaZe in another game 5. But no. 5-1 comeback. FaZe do it again. They did it against Optic at Stage 1 playoffs on London Docks. They do it again here, bring it all the way back, and oh my word, it really was horrible stuff if you're an Envy fan. Decimate had 2 kills lined up in the back. He shoots prematurely. He basically gets, well, he doesn't really get turned on, but he dies, and FaZe completed the comeback. Unbelievable composure from them. It's what you'd expect from a team with replays on. And they take down Envy, and that is a horrible, horrible way to go out of the tournament. But they still did way better than I think a lot of people expected them to do. Let's go on into the final bracket. EG versus TK. This was the big one. This tournament, or this match, usually decides the winner of the tournament. TK went into this match 11-0 in hardpoint, and EG win both hardpoints off them. It was unbelievable stuff. I think EG just match up really well against these guys. I think Gibraltar hardpoint was map 1 here maybe. I think they played a very similar map set in all 3 series, which kind of makes sense with vetoes in the game. So EG managed to 3-1 TK at the end of the day. This series, I was amazed. I thought TK would have it. EG had a kind of easy run, all the way through, and they struggled to some degree against Envy. But winning both hardpoints here, I think they lost the search, and they won all the respawns. And if you're winning respawns against TK, that is recipe for success, put it that way. FaZe took down eUnited. I honestly thought eUnited would put up a better fight here than what they did, but FaZe just had crazy momentum. They're pretty much the only team that stuck together the entire year. Remember at the first event in Dallas, they started from open bracket because they were doing awful in the 2Ks. Everyone was calling for them to make a roster change, and they make this crazy run all the way through losers there, and they make it again here. And of course, they did it as Stage 1 playoffs as well. They went down to losers round 1, beat everyone, including winning 2 best-of-5s. I thought they might have a chance again here after they beat eUnited. They end up losing to TK. I thought FaZe would have this series. I think FaZe went up 2-1, and then TK won the second hard point. And then they ended up winning the S&D kind of comfortably in the end to set up a rematch of EG for the Grand Finals. So TK making the Grand Finals wasn't completely off the cards. I had them as my number 2 seed after Rise coming in. But they proved they played a lot better than Rise, let's put it that way. They 3-2 EG in the first series. Crazy series. EG go up 2-0. They win Gibraltar Hardpoint. And then they win the S&D, I think, on Ardennes. TK, they bring it back. They comfortably win the map 3 CTF, and we're thinking, oh no man, not again. Let's not forget, Apathy last year, Infinite Warfare champs, he got double, he lost in 2 best-of-5s to Optic Gaming when they won. Devastating for him because he's such a nice guy, and I love him as a player. He hasn't been that great this year, but I'm so glad he managed to get it done at the big one. And then, of course, EG at Seattle, they make the Grand Finals in second, or they ended up finishing second because Rise beat them in 2 best-of-5. So if it happened again, I would have been devastated. TK win map 4 Hardpoint and Docks kind of comfortably. EG nearly made a comeback, and then they win map number 5 as well to complete the reverse sweep. Just horrible. And I think a lot of people thought TK were just going to run with this momentum, but that's not what happens if you're a team with Aches. EG decide to go back into London Docks Hardpoint, map number 1, and they beat TK on it. So I thought once they won this series against TK, or once they won this map against TK, which is like TK's best hardpoint, I'd say, I thought this was it, because if EG didn't win 3-0, map 4 was St. Marie Hardpoint, which is EG's best map. Or has been historically. People don't usually let them play it. But this time, TK, I guess, took out Gibraltar because EG proved very strong on that. Beat Optic on it, beat TK on it twice. So they went into St. Marie, but the series didn't even get there. After EG won map number 1, they smoked their way through map number 2. I love the smoke strats they come up with. Smoking out mid, Silly running through the smoke, sneaking down fire cut. Just absolutely blew TK away. And then map number 3, it was comfortable, it was controlled. Assault got streaks, I think. They got the flags out, they were just holding their lanes. Assault is an absolute superstar in CTF. He had something like a CTF 1.55 in CTF, and EG end up taking the World Championship. So Aches gets his second ring. It's 2014 again, baby. Crazy how long these guys have been around. I was thinking of making a video of how most of the teams, the top teams, they have young talent nowadays, and maybe that's necessary to have a superstar squad. And I guess Assault can still be considered young talent, but Aches was great this tournament. Let's have a look at the stats, actually, see where the MVP come from. Assault won MVP in the end, of course. Aches had a 1.11. Silly was immense. Silly was probably my player of the tournament, I'd say. I think he played the best on this team. Maybe Assault was slightly better. Probably Assault still deserved MVP, but Silly being that second SMG just worked wonders for these guys. The crazy thing is how he's been around like 10 years. He's been playing since CoD 4, and maybe even earlier than that. And he hasn't really got any recognition until he won that event with eUnited last year, and now he gets dropped off the team. He plays even better than he did before, and now he's a world champion. So, crazy story how long these guys have been around. Apathy managed to get he's in 3 back-to-back World Championship Grand Finals. He performed stellar as well. And then Assault. Oh my word, look at this S&D stats. 1.72 in search, Aches had a 1.5. That's what really carried them through here. We look at the stats, 5-2 in search, 5-1. This consistency over all 3 game modes is how they get it done in the end. They only lose 6 maps over the entirety of the tournament, and yeah, so there it is. That's another Call of Duty season in the books. I think it was probably my most enjoyable one from a spectator perspective. This event especially topped it all off. Even though World War II might not have been the best game ever, Black Ops 4 will almost certainly eclipse it in terms of how good the fundamental game is. And the competition is only getting greater and greater, so we should have more great events going into Black Ops 4. I know they announced that in 1 month's time, on September 19th, they're going to do an announcement on the future of Call of Duty esports and the new tournament format, which, I'm a bit worried about, very skeptical. But yeah, hopefully this continues as long as possible. The viewership in the grand finals was in excess of 170,000 people on all platforms at some point during the first series. So, especially for a grand finals without Optic, I thought that was very impressive indeed. CoD is alive, baby. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time.